What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozor here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of the biggest roadblocks for brand new players in King Arthur Legends Rise, and that is beating 10-7 Crom, the final boss, in normal difficulty. This is one of the biggest barriers for free-to-play and new players. I beat the boss today, free-to-play, after, I believe, day 8 of my login. I've only been playing for about 2.5 days, relatively heavily, so I probably played like a total of maybe 25 hours, but I finally beat the boss today, and I gotta tell you guys, it is absolutely a doozy of a challenge. If you guys want to get involved with King Arthur Legend Rise, make sure you guys check out the link in the description and the pinned comment below, and make sure you guys download the game and give it a try. But hopefully with this video, once you guys reach 10-7 and the final boss Crom, this will be able to push you guys over the edge and get you guys through this massive hurdle in this game. Anyways, let's jump right into the round and the fight. Now, first, guys, I'll have to tell you guys that I did spend an obscene amount of time on this final boss. It's actually quite ridiculous in terms of how difficult this boss is relative to the rest of the game up until this point. I saw it as a very tough challenge, and I basically spent the better part of about 8 hours of my total game time, about a third of my total game time, basically trying to fight this boss and trying to beat this boss. I would say I've attempted the boss at least 100 times. Thank goodness it doesn't take any stamina to fight the boss, and you don't lose anything for trying, which is the best part. So you can definitely jump in there with lots of different combinations and all that stuff. So this video is going to provide you guys with a pretty thorough breakdown of exactly what you need to do and how. Basically what I did was make small adjustments in my team, and I was able to clear this boss. So you can kind of see here the total power just slightly under what Crom is, about 15,001. I'm level 29 when I cleared this. I spent a lot of energy basically regearing, crafting, leveling up, getting resources to build this team. I have 2 level 60s. The damage dealers, both of them are rare. King Arthur and K, those are obviously the most cost efficient damage dealers. Instead of going for 1 level 60 legendary, you go for 2 level 60 damage dealer rares, which makes sense. You definitely need at least 2 damage dealers for this fight, and you need at least 1 support champion. So I went with 3 damage dealers and 1 support champion, and you could definitely go with 2 damage dealers and 2 support champions, and you'll see what happens here. So I'm going to go into the fight and we'll talk through the fight there. So I'm bringing King Arthur, Kay, Clementine, and Morgan. So the first phase is that Crom will eat 3 of your champions, and you have to free them with the 1 remaining champion. So this battle won't work if your support is remaining. So my team has 3 damage dealers and 1 support. If he eats all 3 damage dealers and only the support is left, you basically just leave and restart the game. So like I said, when you leave, you don't lose anything for trying, so you can go back in and try again. Try to find the right RNG start before you actually spend your time fighting. So here we have Morgan as our only DPS. She is actually the weakest DPS out of the 3 that I have, but because she's a legendary, she actually has pretty good stats, and she has a turn meter drop on her A2, which is really good at just keeping the Crom just a little bit in check. She also brings some decreased damage on her A3, and her A3 hits decently hard enough that she can free one of the champions on 1 hit if she crits. So you can kind of see here there's like 4 dots on Crom's life bar here. Each dot represents basically like a checkpoint for him. The 3 dots at the front near the top of his health points is the 3 champions on your team. So let's see here. I was basically saying if she doesn't crit and she doesn't free a champion, I'm just going to restart because she's not particularly geared like super well. So luckily I do crit, and I managed to free 1 champion right away, and I free K right away. So ideally you get your 2nd damage dealer. You don't want your support so early. You want your 2nd damage dealer to pop out so that you have 2 damage dealers trying to free your team as soon as possible. So that is the key to this team in particular. All right, so after that, we're going to prioritize the A3. The A3 deals the most damage from Morgan. So in the early stages, you definitely want to use the most highest damage moves you have on each champion, trying to free your team right away. Because this fight is very, very finicky. As soon as something goes wrong, the run probably ends. So, like I said, I've tried this run at least 100 times with this exact same squad. So here she uses the A3, does some damage. We get hit. This move is so ridiculous, where he Crom spitballs some kind of poison explosion attack on your champions, and it's so strong sometimes that it just straight up ends your fight. So if that doesn't kill one of your guys, you're all good. If you lose one of your guys, your run is probably over, because you need everybody's damage output to actually take this guy down. You can't have anybody die in this encounter. So here I actually opt for K's A2 basically all the time, because she actually only takes 2 vigor on her A2, which is very cost effective, and it hits really, really hard. So A2. Actually, that one actually didn't go very well. For some reason, it didn't do a lot of damage there. And then these guys chipping in with a little damage, a little bit annoying. This is a huge swing here. We actually survived. K just hanging in there. Her A1 pitching in big damage, actually critting multiple times and then freeing the next champion. A3 again from Morgan. Third champion's free. So King Arthur is free. I think if it was our support champion, I don't think this run would have been successful. I think the 3 damage dealers early really helped help us reach the checkpoints ASAP without the support. So we go with A2 here. This time we crit a bunch, freeing the support. We actually had our whole team here, which is actually a little bit of a surprise, because usually I always lose somebody by this time and the run would fail. But right now we actually are in good shape. As long as you have your full team alive in relatively good health, you have a chance to end this final boss fight. We're a little bit worried about Kay here, hoping she survives. She does with a sliver of health, and this is the difference between restarting and winning this fight. King Arthur here with the A3, he definitely smacks here. Big crit, A2 smacking as well a little bit. And then we got Clementine here. She's basically here just for the heal. She's geared up to give like the biggest heal that she possibly can. She's only a level 50, but she's geared up to give as big of a heal as she can on her A2. And that's what she's going to be using exclusively. Almost 1100 heal here. 1100 honestly is not a lot. It's not a lot because Crom hits you easily for over 1100 per hit. And Morgan's A2 actually can chop off some turn meter, might give your champions a little bit of time. See, like you notice that the turn meter got kicked back there. So Morgan's actually not too bad. The problem is that the turn meter reduction is actually quite small, and usually your characters are not super fast, so they can't really take advantage of a little bit of reduction, but it's not bad. Sometimes it could be the difference between one champion going and one not going. All right, we actually survived that, which is actually insane. I'm really worried about K because, like I said, if anybody goes down, it's basically over and we got to restart. So K here, this crit was probably the one that won us the fight because it got us over this final threshold to basically give us a turn to heal up. But like I said, there's many instances in this fight already where we had to get lucky or something to not go wrong and then to prolong the fight. Otherwise, it would have been pretty much over. So here we're going with the A3, trying to drop some of his attack. Got the heal off. So like I said, guys, here he's kind of charging up. This is when he's kind of charging up and then just giving you some free shots here. And this is where Morgan's A2 is very, very impressive because he's in this prolonged state of charging up, you actually have an opportunity to cycle through your abilities twice. And Morgan's A2 actually gives you an opportunity to get more turn meter ahead. So this gives you an opportunity to actually get an extra turn. And like I said, the chance to heal is pretty big. The extra big crit here from the A2 from K. And then the heal. The heal doesn't matter, but it sets up the next stage of the fight. And then luckily we got the A2 back. And now we're ready for the second stage of the fight. So here in the second stage of the fight, he has like eyes and then his mandibles that you hit. Don't focus on those. Focus on his face. Focus on his face. You don't have time to hit anything else. You have to focus on his face. In this mode, he actually doesn't hit super hard. Like you'll notice that we basically get smashed constantly by him, but he doesn't do insane amounts of damage. So here, Arthur, we're just trying to do as much damage as possible. Kay somehow survived with that sliver of health. And now she's actually has a little bit of health now. Her heal improved. Clementine's A2 heal improved to 1300. 1300 is a little bit more relevant. Yeah, we're just trying to hit as hard as we can. This is a damage race. As much as it's a survival race and it's a damage race. Because we can't survive his final blast if he charges up and is able to fire it off against us. The big heal here of 1300, but 1300 basically just gives us one attack turn from the boss to survive. So, but it's definitely useful. So now we broke through. We're on to his last stage here. So here's the mandible stage. So the mandibles are targets. Like I said, don't target the mandibles, target the face. All right, so back to the A2. The A2 is the hard-hitting one. Big heal here, 1300 heal. All right, here we go. He's mad now. So here in this stage, when he first gets into this enraged form, he basically doesn't take any damage from you. So take this opportunity to heal up, you know, restore your vigor and all that, but don't start blowing your biggest attacks into this phase. So you notice that, yeah, he doesn't take any damage, or he takes very little damage. See, 1 damage. And then we get feared and all that stuff. 1 damage. And he'll come out of this right now. And this is the time where you gotta unload. So after his second phase of being enraged, this is where you have to unload all your big skills into him, because you're gonna die if you can't kill him right now. And we actually had fear going on here. So if King Arthur, like if anybody was feared and lost, then it would have been over. But there we go. We got all the big hits off. Clementine actually was feared on that last ability. We got all the big hits off, and it went super, super smooth once we got the whole team through into this second phase of the fight. But it all started off with Kay basically not dying with a sliver of health. She probably had like you know, single digit HP left. But if she died, then the run's over, because we don't have enough DPS to kill Crom before he like blows us away. But this fight, it looked easy, but it was definitely not. And there was a million things that could have happened that would have went wrong. And like I said, guys, I tried this fight at least 100 times. And every like 5 or 10 attempts, I would go back and reevaluate what I can do to make my team stronger. Yeah, it's, you know, this fight I think is a little bit too tough for people progressing through this campaign up until this point. This fight's a little bit too tough, but there's nothing wrong with, you know, a hard fight, to be honest. And up until this point, I kind of just put whatever gear on my champions, and I was able to progress through the entire game without any issues. So having a fight like this, it makes you basically have to play the game properly. So I did have to basically like revamp my entire lineup, look for a way to defeat this boss. And honestly, it came down to 3 DPS and 1 support, and the support had to heal. The support had to be a healer, otherwise all your DPS are dead. You have to have good support, but your DPS have to be better. And the only way we can have good DPS is by making them 6-star DPS champions. You can't do it with 1 DPS. I mean, you could, but that DPS better be insane. And you probably don't have insane gear at this point. Like I said, fully free to play, no spending involved. So we'll quickly jump into everything here. I'm going to end the video, and we'll go back to the main game. So this is the game right after we finish the fight. So like I said, level 29 here. I'm on day 8. Day 8 of the logins. like I said, I probably played like about 25 hours, and I've just entered a hard mode. Main story is very important because it actually allows you to unlock um, this area, seal temples. It unlocks the relic forge, and basically it just helps you progress through the game. One of the big things that happened was basically working through the dungeon here. We were able to defeat this boss, Penvid, um, Plane of Beasts. We were able to defeat this boss one time, and after defeating the boss one time, we had 20 of these mythic mana orbs, and that basically gave us enough to 6-star our second DPS. I think if you can't defeat the Crom 10-7, you probably have to come here, Plane of Beasts, defeat this guy, make another 6-star, and then go back in and try again. If that doesn't work, the next best thing you can do is gear up your champions properly. This is what I had to do. I had to basically look at my account and be like, okay, what's the most important thing on that I need to have on these champions? So the forge is massive here. The forge crafting, you'll farm a lot of this if you go to the equipment dungeon, and then you can basically farm up all this material and you can craft up whatever set you want. It's actually an insane system here. You can look at all these sets and just craft up whatever you want. The best set in the game is Vigor, which gives you 1 Vigor per turn, which is really, really good. It's basically, you get all your best skills back quickly. But yeah, and then you can fine tune all this stuff. It's actually really insane, the forge. So definitely take advantage of it. And I had to use it a lot. So what I was prioritizing when I was fighting Crom, or trying to get ready to fight Crom, was actually the equipment dungeons. I was farming stage 4 just to get the materials. I got some 4-star gear that was useful. Most of my champions only have 4-star gear. I'll jump into the champions here that I used to defeat Crom. So obviously K MVP here, mega damage. Like, as much, she's my most progressed, most invested champion in this entire game. So you can kind of see the gear here. It's only 4-star gear. It's not even fully maxed out because I ran super low on silver, trying to, you know, find combinations of gearing that worked. Ultimately, what worked was a Vigor set. So a Vigor set on her, and I have 1 critical damage set on her, which was the difference maker, I think. It allowed her to crit and do more damage more frequently. So you can see the total stats here. Her HP is very, very low, a little bit squishy. She has decent attack. She's only level 53, but I did invest all my chivalry into her as well. So she's pretty jacked up on her chivalry. I spent basically everything I've earned up to this point into K, and you know, I think it's just, you know, the most obvious investment. She's just the best champion that you got super early. I actually pulled Lancelot. I pulled Lancelot early, and I was like, oh, this champion's pretty cool, but I was already pretty far along that I couldn't invest in another champion just yet. But I think Lancelot would be pretty cool for some dungeons. But right now, K is my star. And like I said, she's well deserving of all this good gear. Got the belt for her as well. And then after that, our next champion, next best champion anyways, is actually King Arthur. We went with King Arthur as our second 6-star champion. And, you know, we went with a full attack set with a critical rate set. You can kind of see the total stats here. He has 37% crit rate. He's pretty fast. He's one of the fastest champions on the squad. Squishy, that's a little bit of attack. But that's pretty much the stats on him. Level 52, I think. 3600 power. But yeah, I think just give the damage dealers damage stats, and then they'll probably do okay. And I think the big difference with putting the critical set on them, the critical set, you guys can look for the critical set here. Right here, this one, the one with the H. I crafted a couple of them just to basically get like higher star pieces of gear on them so they can get more stats. Like, you know, I'm using like whatever pieces that kind of work. Like, I know attack speed, crit rate, attack percentage, like these are just standard. It's good stats. Jewelry, I have less choice, but yeah, so that's King Arthur, my second 6-star. After that, Morgan. So Morgan here, I chose to use a Vigor set and then 2 random pieces just for stats. She has pretty decent stats as a legendary, good HP. She's a damage dealer, but I didn't have like good enough crit rate or attack pieces left for her. So I didn't have any silver or anything like that. So I just kind of left her in a Vigor set and 2 random pieces just for stats. She has the belt slot open as well. Nothing too crazy on her. I do have some attack stats on her gear. Attack speed, crit rate, attack. Again, jewelry, I have less choice. And then our last champion, the most important champion actually, is Clementine. The Clementine is the healer. She's actually been a really strong champion for my overall progression. You can only go through this game with 4 damage dealers for so long, and then you actually need a support champion that does something. So Clementine here, she has 2 heals. She has a heal on her A1, she has a heal on her A2, and then she has some turn meter control on her A3. Her A2 is the most important part during that Crom fight. You definitely need her. She's actually in some pretty good gear as well. I got her HP up to 11k, which is not that easy considering she's only at level 50. Other stats don't really matter too much, but her HP is really important just for the heal. Check out her gear here. I got her in a Vigor set and a speed set. I don't know if the speed set's actually really worth it, but it just kind of made sense. We had a pretty good, what did I have? I think I had a pretty good speed necklace here. HP percentage, defense. So I was looking for HP and HP percentage everywhere on her gear. HP, flat HP, speed, HP. And then this neck has HP percentage, HP here. Yeah, so basically I was just trying to stack her HP as much as possible. And I got a belt for her as well. So I even ascended her so that she can actually get more HP and more stats as well. This is a pretty good belt, to be honest. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys can find a team that works for you guys. Another champion that works instead of Clementine in terms of healing is actually, what's this guy's name? It's an uncommon champion. This guy. I forgot his name. What's his name? Luke. Yeah, so I was messing around with him a little bit. I found that his stats were a little bit on the low side. So even at 50 with gear on, like his HP was actually quite low compared to Clementine, and his heal is a higher percentage, but because his base stats are lower, it didn't work out. So I went back to Clementine, and Clementine just had better base stats and all that stuff. So unless you're willing to take him to 60, then it's probably not really worth it to use him over a rare healer. Another healer that might work actually in place of those if you don't have them is actually Isolde. Oh man, sorry, I butchered that, but she's actually a very good champion as well. Good healer, and she can definitely play the healer role in the Crom fight as well. Isolde. Sorry, butchered that again. Anyways, but basically 3 damage dealers, 1 support. Make sure your damage dealers can actually do some damage. Ideally 260s. You can probably do it maybe 160, but yeah, you need the damage dealers to do some damage, right? And then you need the support to keep everybody alive. And if your team isn't like super jacked up with gear, or you don't have the craziest champions, then you need everybody alive for the whole basically the entire fight, because it's a damage race. It's a really tough fight. Like I said, spent about 8 hours, about a third of my overall playtime fighting it. But I managed to do it, and yeah, feel pretty accomplished, I guess. Level 29. Yeah, it's fun, good challenge and all that. So I'm gonna keep going, see what happens in hard difficulty and some of the new dungeons and stuff. And yeah, well, it's been a really good challenge, just getting through at 10-7. Gonna take a little break. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video on how to defeat Crom in this game, level 10-7 on normal difficulty. Once again, guys, if you guys are interested in the game, King Arthur Legends Rise, make sure you guys check out the download link in the description below and in the pinned comments if you guys want to join in on all the fun. Like I said, if you guys reach 10-7 Crom, hopefully this video will find you guys and you guys can break through this massive barrier. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching again. Appreciate your time as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.